It's been over 120 years since the Milwaukee Road came to the town of Mendota, Illinois. In the beginning, it was called the Rochelle Southern. It's gone today, but there are still plenty of signs around us if we take a close look. I want to take you on a journey back in time, all the way back to the beginning, when the old Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul company was just talking about their Rochelle and Southern branch. Back to 1902. I'll read the actual newspaper articles that I dug up, and from there you'll find some very interesting facts about the Milwaukee that you didn't know. You're about to get on a time machine, my friends. And I'll even introduce you to the Railway Express agent at the depot in Welland, Illinois. That's just about 6 miles up the hill from Mendota. He also called in the weekly news bits to the newspaper at Mendota, the Sun-Bulletin. These inform us about the people and railroad operations just in Welland alone. I will show you the visible signs of what is left today of the old Milwaukee Railroad. There's still roadbed, signs, grain elevators, trestles, pilings, rail anchors, spikes, ties, and let me not forget the depot in Mendota still stands after 120 years. I've always said it's hard to erase a railroad. Many farmers have done a great job reverting the old roadbed to farmland, but there's still a lot of roadbed left. There's coal and clinkers on the roadbed from Ladd to Cherry. Then, of course, you have the well-known Cherry coal mine disaster in which 259 miners lost their lives in a fire down below the ground. Many homes in Cherry are miners' homes provided by the St. Paul Coal Company. Let me add that the main reason for the construction of the Rochelle Southern was to get the coal to provide the railroad operations of the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul. In Cherry, the slag piles are still visible from about 10 miles away on a clear day. And at the Cherry Library is a permanent HO model display of the St. Paul coal mine that I built so folks could see what the mine looked like when it operated from 1905 to about 1928. Well, let us begin our journey with the newspapers to find out how the Rochelle and Southern came to be. The Welland depot was close to where that first utility pole is, and the main followed that electric line, and the switch curved over to the left to the Penrose elevator, branching off into 2 tracks, and off to the right was a trestle built over the road. I am standing about where the spur track to the elevator went across the road, the depot being between the main and the siding track. You can clearly see the elevated roadbed, and all the tracks are gone now, but still in the landscape there's a lot of signs of the old Rochelle and Southern Railroad dating back to 1904. I remember the spur track, just barely, came right across this road here, and I remember the trestle too. And if you come up this way and you look off to the north there along the utility line, you'll see the roadbed is still there, and this is looking south toward Welland, and this is a Milwaukee Road F unit coming over the trestle at Welland. And still today there's signs of the pilings in a few places. Let me introduce you to H.L. Foster, the depot agent at Welland. The above is a likeness of H.L. Foster, agent at Welland, Illinois, the first station north of Mendota on the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul Railway. Mr. Foster is also the able correspondent of the Sun-Bulletin, and the Welland items are read by all. He has an abundant amount of push about him, and his ability to do things is so cropping out on the surface. Mr. Foster was born in Troy Grove, which at that time was known as Homer. At the age of 2 months, his parents moved to Iowa, where they spent 3 years, then to Leavenworth, Kansas, where the subject of this sketch received a common school education. In 1890, the family moved to Colorado, where Mr. Foster entered a business college. Returning to Illinois, he went to work for the C&W Railroad as a telegraph operator, and 5 years later accepted a position with the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul. Mr. Foster was married in 1902 to Miss Edith Brown of Troy Grove. This is the only remaining section of the Milwaukee Road. This is in Mendota at a little railroad crossing here. And the Milwaukee made a curve there and followed the CB&Q yard. All these were tracks here. And curved about there and went along the fence line and over the viaduct. Over here is the Illinois Central main. There was a switch that went off to the left that went to Amboy and Freeport and Dixon. I should say Amboy, Dixon, and Freeport. And then there was a switch over there into right here into Motor Wheel there. But this is our little remnant of the Milwaukee Road still left in the ground. Come and see it in Mendota. I'm here at the old Milwaukee Depot, and there used to be two tracks over here in front. Then the Illinois Central was just about 80 feet away, the main line. And then there was a track in the back here, and that track swung around straight back here, and then it connected eventually to the main line of the Burlington as a connection. And then the two tracks here, then the Milwaukee kind of veered over the railroad crossing and went over the diamonds by the tower. The Illinois Central would be here. But anyway, this, when the Milwaukee came to town, this was a residential area. So there was a tornado in 1903 that wiped out a bunch of houses north of town a ways. These were okay, but the Milwaukee had to buy these houses here to come through and put their tracks and depot in. So they just measured the foundations and moved those houses, gave them to the Cyclone Relief Committee to provide houses for those who lost them. But anyway, this used to be a full block. So that's a driveway there, but the road is over there. It used to be a full block, so the Milwaukee took a portion of this block and put their tracks in. There's the Milwaukee Depot. The two tracks came here. The track, basically, there was a side track there, and then the main, and then they connected here and went across the road here. But there was that back track there, and then there was a pocket track that connected the back track and the main. And this siding here that connected the queue, connected over there just about where that white van's crossing, just a little bit before the crossing. But anyway, there used to be a big grain elevator right here. I think they had it here in the 20s. I'm out here between Peterstown and Fitchmore with my longtime friend Marty Finnison, and we're finding remnants of the Milwaukee Road, such as these rail anchors and lots of neat ballast. Marty's great-grandfather August owned land the Rochelle and Southern bought to build their line through these fields right here. You can see the rise in the road where the track used to cross. We're going to take a ride to Peterstown and see the historic church and find the old railroad crossing.
Okay, so we're digging along the abandoned right-of-way of the Milwaukee Road between Ladd and Cherry, and we're finding lots of coal clinkers and some even chunks of coal. There's another one we just found.
One there, man. That come from a steam locomotive.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Put that in the bucket.
I dug that out right here.
There's two more right there. Right here. Yep, that's coal. So as you can see, the roadbed goes off. This would be looking south, and that's looking towards Ladd, and looking north, going towards Cherry. And as you can see, there is a ton of trees that have sprouted up since the Milwaukee Road left. But you can see the height elevation difference between the cornfield there and where we're standing. So there's quite a great big difference in height. But it's quite a large amount of roadbed still in existence today. Over 100 years after the Cherry Mine disaster, and then 40 years after the Milwaukee Road left. Oh, is that another one?
Yeah, another big one.
Yep.
That's cold there, and Cherry, and we are on the old roadbed of the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul. And any coal that came out of that mine there behind us at Cherry went this way to Ladd, and then went northeast to Mendota, through Mendota, and up eventually to their main line in Janesville, Wisconsin. But anyway, we're looking for coal, we're looking for fragments of anything railroad, and the railroad is built up here. I mean, this is a perfect spot, and you can tell that there's a dark look to the soil. That's because you're seeing a lot of coal. Here's an interesting story I read. It's called Slept Out in the Sleet. Guy Carr sang a song at the Owl's Minstrel Show, which ran something like this, quote, "Out in the rain, and the hail, and the snow, out where the wintry winds do blow," etc., unquote. Mr. Carr did not do as the words in the song read, but William Paul, a farmhand of Ben Larrabee's near Meriden, did sleep out in the rain and the wind and the sleet on Saturday night. He had been in Mendota on Saturday and missed the train going east that afternoon. He started to walk home, and when near Welland on the Chicago-Milwaukee-St. Paul Railway tracks, darkness overtook him. Shortly afterwards, the wind blew his hat off. He could see no light and did not know where to go. His legs grew numb and refused to move, so he lay down a short distance from the tracks, pulled his overcoat over his head, and slept all night. He was so near frozen that he did not get up in the morning until about 10 o'clock, when a train crew aroused him and brought him to Mendota. He was none the worse for his outing, and after a good dinner and a warm bed, he was as well as ever. There's another story that caught my attention concerning the old Milwaukee tracks. It says a man starved to death. A man was found dead along the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul tracks about 3/4 of a mile north of Welland on Thursday morning. The man had been seen along the track for about a week previous, but no attention was paid to him. On Thursday morning, an engineer noticed the man lying along the track and stopped his train, going back to ascertain whether the man had been hurt. He found the stranger was ill and called for water. The engineer secured him a drink of water from the engine and reported the matter to the next station agent. The section man went out and found the stranger had died. Coroner Stephen of Ashton was called and the remains removed to Paw Paw, where the inquest was held, and it was determined the man had died of starvation. No marks of any kind were found upon the body, nor letters of identification. Who he was and his identity will remain a mystery. He was 5 feet 4 inches in height and weighed about 120 pounds. The remains were buried on Monday. you.